Coming up next on NewsDepth, eating more, moving less. We've got advice on staying active during the pandemic. Plus, these young Ohio filmmakers want a big prize. When cold weather hits, it's plumbers to the rescue. And send rover right over. NASA lands on Mars. NewsDepth is now. Winter weather wallops the nation. Hello everybody, I'm Rick Jackson. Glad to be back. I missed every single one of you. Thanks for writing to ask where I was, and thank you especially for joining us today. Well, millions of folks in the usually hot state of Texas have been dealing with frigid temperatures and power outages. Meanwhile, Minnesotans are happy to just be above freezing. And here in Ohio, the snow just keeps piling up and up and up. But before we dig into that story, a quick update. The second impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump came to a quick conclusion February 13th. In the shortest impeachment trial in history, 57 senators voted to find Mr. Trump guilty of inciting an insurrection. But as we told you last week, it takes 2/3 of the Senate, that's 67 senators, to convict in an impeachment trial. And so Mr. Trump was acquitted. Acquit, that's a fancy way of saying found not guilty of the charges. Senator Patrick Leahy read off the final vote count.
The yeas are 57, the nays are 43. 2/3 of the senators present not having voted guilty. The Senate judges that the respondent, Donald John Trump, former President of the United States, is not guilty as charged in the article of impeachment.
Only 7 Republicans voted to find Trump guilty, but that was enough to make it the most bipartisan support for a presidential impeachment conviction in history. Bipartisan means receiving support from both major political parties, the Democrats and the Republicans. With the impeachment behind us now, let's head to the weather. As I mentioned, brutal cold's been gripping large areas of the nation. The frigid temperatures and merciless winds knocked power out for some communities just when they needed it most. Arkansas, Kentucky, Oklahoma, and Texas all called on the National Guard to help with the situation. Texas was especially hard hit with the winter storm knocking out power and water for lots of residents. What the storm didn't knock out, the goodwill of Texans to help each other out. Michael Holmes has that.
Whatever affects Texas affects us.
A commitment to the community that's no sales gimmick. During the recent winter storm, a Houston furniture store owner known as Mattress Mac turned his showroom into a shelter for residents needing a place to warm up and have a hot meal. It's an act of kindness that some will never forget. Stories like this of goodness and hospitality have helped melt the ice by brightening the days of Texans enduring hardship caused by the cold temperatures. Like when delivery driver Chelsea Timmons slid down the icy driveway of the people she was delivering to and couldn't get back out. The homeowners got their groceries and invited Chelsea to wait inside, which turned into a 5-day stay until the weather cleared and a new friendship. Then there's the local distillery that decided to open its taps of water and give away free filtered water to anyone with a jug until boil orders are lifted. Or the grocery store that lost power and with no way of checking people out, let them leave with their supplies without paying. These feel-good moments stretch beyond humankind. Volunteers rescued thousands of sea turtles off San Padre Island who were stunned by the cold and are keeping them in warm pools until they can be released. A shelter that may not be as cozy as Mattress Mac's showroom, but another example of Texas strong.
Thank you, Michael. In Texas, plenty of folks are dealing with burst pipes in their homes. That's because when water freezes, it expands, so the ice pushes against the insides of pipes until they just split. Luckily, there are folks equipped to come to the rescue. Plumbers. A plumber is someone who specializes in installing and repairing pipes used in water lines, heating systems, and the like. They need to be good at active listening to understand their clients' needs. Plumbers also need strong critical thinking skills to solve problems. They usually learn through an apprenticeship or they earn a certificate through a career center or college. In Ohio, it's expected that there will be more than 2,000 openings for plumbers each year. That makes it an in-demand career. Now let's head out to Colorado, where more cold weather has kept High Five Plumbing extra busy with repairs. Jacqueline Quinn has that story.
once that ice pack is formed, and even if it ruptures that pipe, you're probably not going to know about it until that ice pack starts to thaw.
You hear it all the time. Make sure to wrap pipes in the winter. But older homes, even though some have pipes under, are still no match for Mother Nature's freezing weather.
We have been slammed. It's almost like every pipe in Colorado froze on us.
High Five Plumbing staff members like CJ Vigil are running double time to catch up with the demand.
Here we'll have, some older copper piping and then some even older galvanized steel piping. All that kind of piping, like I was saying before, it doesn't allow for any of that kind of expansion.
Plumbers often replace these pipes with a plastic tubing that's more flexible in freezing weather, but they can also be replaced before pipes burst. Vigil also emphasizes the need to know where to find the shutoff valve for all utilities.
There's no guarantee when it comes to Colorado weather. And so the best thing we can do is prepare.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Frozen pipes, just one symptom of frosty weather. In this week's Spot on Science, Margaret Cavalier shares a few of the more unusual winter phenomena. Margaret?
You guys, winter can be kinda weird. Let me tell you why. I've got a couple of odd phenomena to share about this frosty time. Starting with these ghost apples. No, they're not from Johnny Appleseed's haunted orchard. These guys form when freezing rain coats an apple. The apple inside can't freeze as fast as that rain. Instead, the apple turns to mush and slips right out of the bottom of the ice shell. Andrew Setsima in Michigan took these photos while pruning a frozen orchard. He said his favorite is when Jonna Gold apples turn to icy shells that he calls Jonna ghosts. Okay, so those weren't very creepy ghosts. How about the steaming lake though? Kinda eerie. This phenomenon is called sea smoke or steam fog. It happens when steam rises off a warmish body of water and into air that is cold and dry. This lets the steam condense into visible haze. This video, captured by Joe on Twitter, is happening over the Great Lake of Ontario. It was minus 19 degrees in Toronto, Canada, where he captured the video. Ooh. So if you thought those sights were weird, how about the sounds of winter? Listen to this. It's thunder snow. It takes pretty perfect conditions for it to happen. The air close to the earth has to be warm enough to rise up and create a thunderstorm, but yet cold enough to create snow. During these thunder snowstorms, the lightning appears brighter since it reflects off the falling snow. But also, the snow quiets the thunder, so you can only hear it if you're very close to the storm. Cold weather can also cause other booming sounds in the form of frost quakes. This happens when the ground is saturated with water. If the temperature drops suddenly, the water will freeze and expand into ice. This expansion can cause soil and rock to crack, causing the loud noise and some shaking. The scientific term for these frost quakes is cryoseisms. They too are pretty rare and occur mostly in states near the Great Lakes or in Canada. So the next time you hear a thump in the winter night, rest assured it might just be Old Man Winter stretching out.
Thanks, Margaret. Okay, so we know that Margaret is not a fan of chilly temps, but some things are worth braving the cold, like the opportunity to get a COVID shot. Despite record low temperatures with wind chills well below zero, hundreds of people lined up to get their shot at a COVID-19 vaccine in Kansas. Wind chill? That's how cold it feels when you consider the air temperature and how much colder the wind makes it feel. Lily Wu takes us to the line at the Intrust Bank Arena. Lily?
Despite the snow and freezing temperatures, people over 70 are still getting to their appointments at Intrust Bank Arena.
It's pretty dangerous out there. You have to really pay attention to what you're doing because it's slick, it's very slick, and it doesn't look slick. And unfortunately, there are some people who drive different than they ought to be driving.
Even people with appointments still have to wait in line for their turn, but they're waiting inside the building, out of the elements.
I feel sorry for them. There's, especially for some of the older people, that have to stand for a long period of time. It's got to be tough on their legs.
Sedgwick County health officials are reminding people to show up to their appointments only 15 minutes before their scheduled time.
There's plenty of vaccine. We just want to make sure that this line obviously behind me stays safe inside. We don't want any line outside, so that's why we always try to recommend and do our due diligence to make sure that people stay in their cars until about 15 minutes before their appointment. Makes it safer for them, makes it safer for us.
Thank you, Lily. You know what? It's been a while since we took a spin around the globe for some international news. Of course, the biggest thing happening is still the pandemic. While many countries are struggling with their vaccine rollouts, Chile is reporting some impressive numbers. Let's head to that South American country. Hola! Chile is a long, skinny country that extends along much of South America's west coast. About 18 million folks call Chile home, but most folks live in or around the capital, Santiago. The land here, great for growing grapes, and it's rich in copper as well. And the government is a republic, led by a president who the people elect. All right, let's head over. Rafael Romo tells us how the Latin American country is leading the way with its COVID vaccination program.
A courtyard where you would normally see college students mingling is now a highly organized and efficient clinic. This is the campus of the Pontifical Catholic University of Chile in Santiago, the capital, one of the many COVID-19 vaccination centers around the country. Just after getting her first shot, this woman described the process as fantastic and very well organized. While some Latin American countries like Nicaragua have yet to receive any vaccine, Chile has become the leader in the region. The country of nearly 19 million had already given more than 1 million vaccines by February 9th and hit 2 million by Monday. This 71-year-old man who just got his first shot proudly describes Chile as an international role model. Key decisions like an early start in acquiring vaccines have made the difference. In addition to schools and government buildings, health authorities have opened up vaccination centers around the country in places like shopping malls and football stadiums. A unified message about social distancing and mask use hasn't hurt either. President Sebastián Piñera himself, who's 71 years old and was therefore eligible to get the shot last week, took advantage of the opportunity to make a point.
Esta vacuna es segura.
This vaccine is safe and effective, the president said, hoping to convince any doubters that it's in their best interest to get the shot. While other countries struggle to decide who should get the vaccine after frontline workers, Chilean authorities came up with a vaccination schedule that is being followed to the letter. After healthcare workers, the focus was the elderly. Teachers, pharmacists, and police officers became eligible Monday. Chile has the 5th highest vaccination rate per capita in the world and is doing better than the European Union, according to data from Oxford University.
Thanks, Rafael. Chile's goal is to vaccinate 5 million people by the end of March, and 4 out of every 5 Chileans before the first half of 2021 is over. Of course, keeping healthy is about more than getting vaccines. It's also about eating healthy and staying active. Plenty of people, kids included, have been moving less and eating more due to the pandemic. Reporter Rebecca Falsha spoke with a dietitian about how to keep kids from gaining too much weight while waiting out the pandemic. Rebecca?
So we're going to do some exercises, all right?
Little legs.
Moving around, big motions.
Hands on hips, warming up for this moment.
As my daughter calls it, get the wiggles out.
Yeah, the wiggles and the squirms.
High knees, just like this. Bring your knees up. Keep moving. There you go.
But when the pandemic hit, fewer of us worked out and children started gaining more weight.
Why do you think everyone's kind of overeating a little bit right now?
Well, stress, emotional coping. Food is a very emotional thing.
Ice cream. Over the past year, children have been forced to stay home, out of the classroom, and organize sports. There's been less physical activity. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says 1 in 6 children in the United States is obese. But dietitians say don't focus on how much weight has been gained during the last few months.
I think taking the focus and pressure off weight is one of the most important things that they can do. It is a stressful time for everyone right now.
Instead, focus on what you can control, like what types of food you buy, and spending more time with your children.
Offer them some more balanced choices.
Touchdown each side.
Ben Griffith with the Alaska Club says also look for ways to make working out enjoyable.
Everybody like Hermione? All right, Hermione, high knees, okay?
Don't call these leg lifts. Think of something more fun, such as the Harry Potter books.
Act like you have a wand. Kids aren't going to want to, exercise just to exercise, but whenever you start throwing in Harry Potter themes or Star Wars themes, it's all of a sudden they're not doing they're not running in place. They're doing, Hermione high knees to, something to grasp their interest.
And by getting their interests up,
2, 1.
weight will eventually go down.
Shake it out, shake it out.
Thanks, Rebecca. I like that reminder to focus less on the weight and more on the healthy actions we can all take. Well, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends school-aged kids get 1 hour of moderate to vigorous physical activity every day. For our poll this week, we want to know if you're getting that recommended amount of movement. Head online to tell us if you're getting less than an hour a day, about 1 hour, or more than an hour. Then write to us. We know the pandemic and winter have left lots of you cooped up, so we want to know, what are you doing to stay active nowadays? All right, how about we look at your answers from last week's show? We asked if you thought passengers should need a negative COVID test to fly in the United States. 58% of you said yes, they should. Then we asked you to write to us about what you'd put in a vending machine at your school. Let's see what you had to say by opening up our inbox. Zach from Olmsted Falls Intermediate in Olmsted Falls wrote, I would put books in a vending machine at my school so that way if someone needs a book, they have a fun and easy way to get books. They could also get a book if they forget their book at home or just want to get a different book. I also wouldn't make it take any money because that way they could also get it for free. Kaylee from Parkside Elementary in Solon even came up with a special currency for her machine. If I could put anything in a vending machine at my school, I would put little toys. I think when someone did something nice to someone, they could be rewarded with a toy from the vending machine. And instead of using money, they could get points, which could be little fake apples. Oh, that's creative, Kaylee. Well, here's one from Julia at Central Trail Elementary in Sylvania. I would put jokes in a vending machine. Some of my friends have been pretty sad lately, so I would put jokes in it. You could press a button on the vending machine and a piece of paper would pop out. I think this would cheer up a lot of my classmates. Anya from Cloverleaf Elementary in Lodi wrote, I would put hats and warm gloves in a vending machine in my school. Many students at my school do not have warm things for outdoor recess. I feel if students can have a chance to buy warm things, they can have more fun outside. And finally, Natalie from Chapman Elementary in Strongsville. I would put in healthy snacks and drinks like granola bars, water, fruit snacks, and more. It would help us not be hungry during class. You could get more in your lunch. It would give the school more money because you're paying to eat healthy. It could pay the school to get a better playground and pay teachers more. This is what I would put in a vending machine at my school. Neat answers, everybody. Well, this next story is pretty neat too. NASA successfully landed their newest rover on Mars. It took 7 months for Perseverance to make it to the red planet, but now that it's arrived, scientists are excited to put it to work. Its mission, searching for signs of ancient life, collecting rock samples, and practicing technology for future robotic and human exploration. Alex Biston has that story.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars.
Mission complete. NASA and JPL scientists are celebrating history today. After a 7-month journey, the rover Perseverance has landed on Mars.
Perseverance is continuing to transmit direct through Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to Earth.
Here are some of the first images to come from the red planet.
In preparation for parachute deploy.
Nerves were at an all-time high in mission control as engineers and scientists watched the rover make its final stretch. This is known as the 7 minutes of terror, which scientists say is the riskiest part of the journey.
Hello, Mr. President.
NASA Acting Administrator Steve Jurczyk took a call from President Biden shortly after the successful landing.
It was an amazing team and another amazing accomplishment. Thank you so much for your support. Right, this team has been developing and integrating and testing this rover for 8 years. So that's a good chunk of your life and career to put into something that in 7 minutes you're either going to succeed or not. So when you succeed, it feels really good.
Perseverance's mission is to search for signs of ancient microbial life and collect rock and soil samples that will eventually be returned to Earth. Along with the rover is the Ingenuity Mars helicopter, which will attempt the first powered controlled flight on another planet.
Thanks, Alex. NASA says Perseverance's mission will last 1 Mars year. That's 687 days on Earth. Oh, also a fun fact, Perseverance was named by a 7th grader, a student from Virginia. Alexander Mather beat out 28,000 other students in an essay contest to name the rover, and that's pretty cool. Well, speaking of cool kids, the Ohio students in this week's sketchbook have been getting recognition for their film, The Other Side of the Line. They took first place at the Kids International Film Festival in California for Best Narrative for ages 13 through 17. Our David C. Barnett has their story.
The Lakewood Young Filmmakers Academy was started in 2017 by filmmaker Eric Swinderman and his wife Hortensia. Eric is an Emmy-nominated film and television producer. The Academy is like a community center for fledgling filmmakers. Lindsay O'Keefe has attended the school from the start.
I basically fell in love with it from the start, like the idea of putting my thoughts, on screen and just showing it in a different way. I really gravitated towards that.
The Academy is housed in a 3-story mixed-use office building on Madison Avenue. The program is for kids and teens ages 10 through 17. The instructors are all veterans of the film industry.
So we do have a lot of instructors and also guest speakers, guest instructors, depending on what we may need for that day.
You basically get to specialize in a certain thing you love the most. For example, there's a screenwriting class, acting class, editing class.
My favorite part would probably be the fact that we can go through and do many different things. We're not just stuck to, oh, you can only do a writing portion, or oh, you can only do a camera. You can only camera operate, or you can only do boom operations.
All of the equipment needed to shoot, edit, and produce a film is on site.
We have tripods and dollies and jibs. We have 3 editing bays. So they have access to, pretty much everything they could need to make a movie.
After 4 years, the efforts of the Lakewood Young Filmmakers Academy are paying off. Student-produced films are being accepted into film festivals across the country. In 2020, a student-led film took home a first-place award at the Kids International Film Festival in California for the production of The Other Side of the Line.
I was part of the writing team, actually one of the 2 head writers. And then I was script supervisor on the side and also did a little bit of directing. We were just super excited, super in awe, and also very impressed and very proud.
While not every student at the Lakewood Young Filmmakers Academy may go on to study film or get into the film business, every student who completes the course receives the red carpet treatment.
We really make the kids feel like celebrities, and I think that's the reward. And it's not just about them feeling like they're famous. I think when they get there, it hits them of what they accomplished, and that this whole event is for them, and that they earned it, and that they deserve it.
Thanks, David. Well, all these young folks are up to some impressive work, just like our NewsDepth A+ recipient this week. The pandemic's put a hold on many school plans and traditions, but the Key Club at Padua Franciscan High School in Parma was determined to keep alive their nearly 50-year-old tradition of helping the needy during the holidays. We live by the adage that it's in giving that we receive, shared Principal Dave Steck. The Key Club, a student leadership organization, certainly lived up to that challenge. Christmas for Others is a long-standing tradition at Padua, starting back in 1971. The fundraiser collects money and household goods for a variety of nonprofit organizations, inner-city schools, and local food pantries. A junior there, Anthony Cusera, explained that CFO allows us to give to those who aren't as lucky. It's important that as a Franciscan school, we give back to those who need it, just as St. Francis once did. The school was able to help so many individuals and families, even while navigating the pandemic, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to give. Well, because of the pandemic, this year's event looked a lot different. We couldn't get together and have our traditional coin wars in the gym, and we couldn't handle cash donations like we have in the past, explained Mr. Steck. Challenges aside, the Key Club helped to raise an impressive, get this, $15,578. Good job, folks. We try to be generous with our treasures, time, and talents. Christmas for Others is an event that really brings our community together. It is a special experience to participate in, both as a student and now as the principal, added Mr. Steck, who himself is a 1986 grad of the school. Christmas might be past, but it's still worth recognizing the giving spirit of these students. So this week's NewsDepth A+ goes to the Padua Franciscan Key Club for helping those in need have a great holiday season. Keep up the great work. Okay, it's Newscat's turn to share her animal story of the week. Let's see what she's pawed up for this week's petting zoo. Hey Newscat, heard you were asleep on the job last week while I was away. Ha, you thought you'd get away with that. What, nothing to say? Okay, well, show me what you got. Oh, she found a story about sled dogs enjoying the cold weather. To find out about these merry mushers, click the Petting Zoo button on our website. Thank you, Newscat. Well, that's going to do it for us, but of course, we want to hear from you, and that means there are plenty of ways to stay in touch. You can write to us. The address is 1375 Euclid Avenue, that's in Cleveland, Ohio. Our zip code 44115. You can email us at newsdepth@ideastream.org, or you can tweet us, and our handle is @NewsDepthOhio. Thank you for joining us. I'm Rick Jackson. Glad to be back. We'll see you again here next week.
NewsDepth is made possible by a grant from the Martha Holden Jennings Foundation.